Ladies and gentlemen, Barry C here with another cryptocurrency video, and XRP is so close to skyrocketing. Now, we've already seen the first leg up play out almost identically, play out perfectly to what we saw in 2020 and 2021. And interestingly, ladies and gents, for those of you who followed my content for quite some time, I've built my plans for crypto and XRP around the previous two bull runs. And as I stated, that we saw the bull run first leg up kick off October, November, December, which is typically what we see after a Bitcoin halving event. So that's played out perfectly in 2024. And then typically after that, we have a dip over Christmas and New Year's, which we didn't see happen as much this time around that we've seen in previous bull runs. And so, of course, we get to January and we see XRP sitting quite comfortably at $3 a coin. It all looks promising. And then out of nowhere, no one saw this coming. February and March 2025. It's almost a mini bear market within a bull run. And of course, it's very frustrating because instead of us seeing our second leg up and being in the middle of an alt season right now, everybody's waiting, holding their breath, waiting to see what happens in the market. And yeah, it's really frustrating. It's really annoying, especially if you've been in crypto for quite some time and you've seen two bull runs play out. And you've seen that there's always been two legs up to a bull run. Since 2016 until now, we've always had a bull run. We've always had an alt season. The alt season has always concluded the bull run cycle. And within that alt season and bull run time frame, XRP has always gone parabolic. You know, back in 2017, we saw XRP go from less than 1 cent to over $3 a coin in the space of a year. In 2020 into 2021, despite the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit, we saw XRP go from 10 cents to 15 cents to 19 cents to over $1.60, $1.80 in less than a year. And even within 2024, heading into 2025, when we got to November, we saw XRP go from 50 cents to over $1, over $2, $2.50, $2.60, $2.70. XRP led the way. It brought in the first part of the alt season, that first leg up. And it was on track to do amazing things, but then, of course, we've had this mini dip in the market. And, of course, with that level of market dip comes a lot of uncertainty. And with that uncertainty comes a lot of negativity. And it's very easy when the market and XRP isn't performing the way you want it to. It's very easy to succumb to the negativity, to become frustrated, have that holders fatigue. You know, you think the market's going to go one way. You think XRP, the number one crypto in finance, it should be worth a lot more. And here it is sitting below $3 a coin. It's very easy to become complacent and frustrated. I understand that. I've been through two bull runs before. I understand. There's these chunks of time where the market doesn't go the way you hope it would. Whether that's a bear market, whether that's between bull runs. Maybe you see a piece of news and you don't see XRP react to the insane positivity of what that news is or the potential of that news. There's so many factors, and of course it is very frustrating. But here's the thing. When the market dips with this level of volatility, it's very easy to push the narrative that the market will never recover. But what goes down invariably will go back up. And where you don't want to be is in a situation where the market's dipped, you have amazing opportunities, and you don't take advantage of those opportunities before the market starts skyrocketing. Now, I've seen people make this mistake over and over again with every bull run from 2016 until now. And not just with XRP, but XRP is one of the really interesting, clear examples to me. You know, you look at 2017, XRP was worth less than 1 cent a coin. It was the first finance-based crypto. It is the number one crypto. It's been that way since 2017, and it's still the number one crypto in finance in 2025. And back then, the main reason not to buy it was because XRP was the crypto that wanted to work with banks. It wanted to work within the financial framework that exists right now. And people were like, no way, we want something entirely different. We want something different than the banks. And they didn't realize how amazing an asset it was until it went from less than 1 cent to over $3 a coin in the space of a year. When people saw the dollar value skyrocket with XRP, that's when they became interested. And here's the thing, ladies and gents, we can only really look at XRP price-wise, performance-wise, within the confines of an alt season, within the confines of a 4-year cycle at the moment. And even within those confines and those parameters, we are still seeing XRP make moves like less than 1 cent to over $3, 10 cents to $1.80, 30 cents, 40 cents, 50 cents to over $2, almost $3 a coin. Now that is still a remarkable return if your initial investment was 1 cent to $3, or your initial investment was 10 cents to $1.80, or your initial investment was 30 cents to almost $3. That's still remarkable. And here's the thing to consider as well. This is the first bull run, period, where we've had this level of crypto confidence. We've never seen this much confidence in the market, of course, until we hit February and March, and now everybody is completely uncertain. It's chaos. People are frustrated. But when that volatility happens again, and we see the market go back up, we're in a really, really, really unique position because we did have a lot of confidence going into 2025. We're seeing crypto being endorsed at a presidential level, and it's looking more and more likely that we will see a utility run for XRP a lot sooner than people anticipate. And that's what I mean by confidence. Because even if the retail investors in the market are frustrated or they're second guessing their investment, institutions are snapping up crypto like there's no tomorrow. Institutions know there's a long game. Now, whether that's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, institutions have time, they have the resources and the money and the wealth to accumulate and hold and to position themselves. We have institutions positioning themselves to be part of that financial revolution. Now, ladies and gents, when banks and financial institutions finally embrace blockchain technology and they get the go-ahead to adopt crypto into the way they conduct finance, they're not going to sit back and go, great, we can now go ahead with all this. We're going to wait for someone to give us a crypto to work with. They're going to turn to the crypto that they've been trialing since 2017. The number one crypto in finance, XRP. And when banks and financial institutions are adopting XRP into their daily transactions, the way they conduct finance, and they're using XRP's cross-border payment technology and it's using its on-demand liquidity, it's not going to sit there at $2 or $3 or $10. You're going to see the price of XRP hit $100, $1,000, maybe even $10,000, maybe more. I don't think people really fathom the insane level of money that's going to be flowing directly into XRP if it's being utilized by banks daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly. At that level, institutions aren't going to look back and have a retail mindset and look at what the retail people were worried about going, well, XRP was $2 or $3 and they were frustrated or shaken out. Institutions are looking at that long game. They're looking at insane prices tied to changing the way we conduct finance. And that's why it's so important not to get shaken out. And that's why it's so important to not just look at everything with the 4-year cycle mindset of a Bitcoin halving event, a post-halving bull run, an alt season, and a bear market. Because it's, once again, really easy to get suckered into this negative narrative, to get suckered into this whole idea of XRP's not going anywhere because the market's not performing the way we want it to. And that's why it's really important to understand on a really simplistic level what XRP is designed to do, how from the very beginning XRP has been that number one crypto in finance. And from the very beginning, XRP's wanted to work with banks and financial institutions. It wasn't trying to change the entire financial landscape by getting away from banks. It wanted to change the landscape by working in the existing financial framework, by following legislation and regulations, ticking all those boxes so mass adoption could happen sooner rather than later. Because you're not going to get a flip the switch moment by changing and gutting and revolutionizing the financial landscape by creating something entirely new that's going to take, I would say, decades or maybe even 100 years to perfect. People struggle with internet banking, going from, checks and cash to debit card and credit, and then they struggled with internet banking and logging in and using apps. Can you imagine if tomorrow it was all crypto, blockchain, and entirely different, bankless, away from everything that everyone ever knew, completely something that no one had ever seen before? It'd be chaos, absolute chaos. That's why it's so important that XRP is going to modernize and change and revolutionize the way we conduct finance, but it's going to give it to people in the existing framework that people know how to operate in. That is what's so important to understand. Because when I hear people talking about XRP being dead, XRP not going anywhere, XRP will never hit, above $1, these are the negative narratives that were pushed from 2021 until 2024. And even with the price action of a bull run alt season, we saw those narratives proven wrong. That's not even taking into account a utility run. And this is why I'm talking about the confidence in the crypto space, because we've never seen crypto endorsed and promoted at a presidential level before. It's never happened. It didn't even happen in Trump's first term in 2016. He never discussed crypto with this level of confidence that both himself and his team have discussed. And this is really important because when you have that type of confidence at that level, that's when you start seeing banks and financial institutions getting involved. And it just takes one bank to break the 4-year cycle, to break XRP being tied specifically to bull runs, alt seasons, Bitcoin halvings, and bear markets. And ladies and gents, we've already seen banks around the world trial XRP. That's already happened. But what we haven't seen is that mass adoption. And this brings me back to my point about this alt season has yet to happen, but it could still be the biggest alt season anyone's ever seen. Because we've heard people talk about this for years and years and years, but they've wanted utility to happen sooner rather than later. But it hasn't happened, as I said, year after year after year. And this is why it could be really special in 2025, because this could be the first alt season that's closely followed by a utility run. And it just takes one bank, ladies and gents. And the reason why we haven't seen banks and mass adoption happen sooner is obviously we saw the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit back in 2020. And when you see top-tier exchanges delisting XRP, that creates a lot of uncertainty. And there's no way banks and financial institutions will utilize a volatile asset that has legal uncertainty. But also, there's no other asset that's been trialed at the same level, on the same level of mass adoption that XRP has. We've had banks around the world trial XRP's cross-border payment technology and on-demand liquidity technology. And of course, once we do get that green light, there'll have to be some more trial and testing periods. That will happen. But this is why it's so important to look at the immediacy of what the volatility could be in an alt season for XRP, to look at the mid and long term of what a utility run would mean for XRP, and also look at the crazy potential and possibilities of what it would mean to have millions and billions or trillions of dollars flowing directly through XRP if it's being utilized on a daily basis by banks and financial institutions around the world for all their transactions, all their transfers, all their payments. Like I said, I don't think people really grasp and fathom the epic scope of what that means. And that's why, to me, when I look at people panicking right now, it's very important to take a step back and put it in the perspective. Because with the days of XRP being at $100 or $1,000 or $10,000 a coin, when those days happen, people will look back at the $2, $3, $4, $5 price point and go, wow, that's lucky. It's the same way we look back at XRP in 2017 when it was worth less than 1 cent a coin and go, wow, I'd give anything to go back and buy some more. And like I said, ladies and gents, not financial advice. It's just very important to highlight these things, especially in the negative downtime when everybody's waiting for the market to turn around. Now, for me personally, these are the opportunities I like to embrace so that when the market does turn around, I'm in the best position possible to make some life-changing profits, but also having a plan in place so when that profit taking is happening, I'm not compromising my midterm and long-term holdings, because I know that once a utility run kicks in, there's going to be amazing opportunities 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the track when XRP is a lot more expensive to make a lot more money. Now, as I said, ladies and gents, none of this is financial advice. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And if you're curious about the other cryptos I hold outside of XRP, consider becoming a Patreon. Click the link in the description below, head across to my Patreon page, and consider becoming a Barry C VIP. There you'll have access to all my cryptos, as well as my buy, sell, and take profit signals in real time.